Hey up switchheads, Kanan here, hope you're all well and welcome to my review of Black Legend, a top-down sort of free-roaming kind of adventure game with tactical turn-based combat. But before we get into that, why not click the link down below to go to our Discord where you can join in any of the streams that we do and have fun, chat and the like. And so with that said, let's see whether Black Legend can make it up onto the Wall of Fame or even the Wall of Shame. Or maybe somewhere in the middle. Let's get on with the gameplay. So first off, you have your picking of your own character, female, male, colour of hair and all that lot. Or if you just feel really lazy or just want to get into the game, you can just randomise it. Pick a name and we're into the game. And straight away we can notice that the load screens are on the little long side, but it's not too bad. And as you enter the actual game, you also notice the fact that it's kind of like a free roaming type game where you can just go wherever you want in a top-down view, and you interact with other characters. The story is perfectly fine. It's an age-old story. A guy traps the whole entire city that you're in a fog, whilst there's a cult roaming around, egging to kill everything they see and take over. And basically, the story's okay, to be honest with you. It's good fun. The biggest thing you want to take away is the fact that it's all voiced, which adds to the story and kind of like makes you not want to skip past it. You lead a troop where you can actually upgrade them, level them up, change their actual class, and kind of like you can have more than one class activated at the same time. It's quite a good system once you actually get into it, and it has plenty to offer and upgrades. And as you level up and gain more classes, you can do more things. You have passive abilities as well as abilities that do damage. You can heal yourselves and your party, and I like the fact that you can start the game in different levels. Easy is the one that I picked, but it ramps up the harder and harder you go. I'm starting easy because I'm probably not as good as a veteran player to these, but a veteran player would probably start on a higher level and probably get more of a challenge out of it. There is literally tons to this game and I'm not going to go through all of it, so I'll just try and give you what you need to know. And before I get onto the battling system, which I'm pretty sure is why everyone is here, let me just say in my playthrough of the game it was a little bit shuddery and also some frame rate issues as well, although the camera did actually fare better than most of these games of the same ilk. You can only go sort of left and right and zoom in-ish and out-ish, and it kind of works a lot better, although it does still have its faults. The game's set as one big piece, but in order to go into different areas, you have to actually load those areas in as you go on. And when these areas are loaded in, normally you're greeted with a bit of shuddery, and also everything is still loading in, i.e. you actually see the textures on buildings and everything load in before your eyes. The game does have quite a lot of nice little details, like when you're going around you can loot things, which is cool. Just basically everywhere you go, just look for things that you can loot and loot the hell out of them. When moving around and you see enemies, you can try and sneak your way past them, which is pretty cool. And talking of which, let's go into a little bit of detail about the actual combat in this game. So the combat is whenever you come across these little red areas, you cross them and basically you start getting attacked. As I said before, you can try and sneak round them, but sometimes you just can't and you, end up in a fight. And this works pretty well like most other turn-based actual games. At the start, you're able to move your character wherever you want within a white area, and after that, you then start your actual combat system if you want, tweak your characters. Once done, you can set about actually attacking or defending yourself. In a cool little move, you can actually go above people, i.e. stand on crates and things like that, which is pretty cool. You can flank characters to do more damage, and depending on what classes you actually picked, you can use ranged weapons or close-up melee weapons. This all works perfectly fine. It's a bit janky now and again, but as a whole it works. All the attacks take action points, and basically once you've done that you run out of action points and it's end your turn and go to the next player, whether good or bad. There is also a special little attack that you can have called the alchemy, and basically this is done by throwing objects and other little features. This all works on like a colour scheme, but in the end I kind of worked out it's kind of like, and I mean it's in a very simplified way because it's a little bit more complicated than this. the kind of like earth, fire, water, as in fire hurts earth, water hurts fire. So depending on colours, they hurt more to other colours and vice versa and all that sort of thing. These can also be stacked on a character and can actually last for more than one turn. Again, this works quite well, if not slightly overcomplicated to explain, which is why I tried to simplify it. And I hope that kind of worked. The game did take me a little while to actually get into, but once I actually got there, I started enjoying myself a lot more, and I started getting the combat, which I thought, wow, this is complicated, but it turns out it's not as complicated as one first thought. Adding to all of this, you can also buy and sell items. You have an inventory. You even have like a bestiary, which is kind of like information about the characters and like the dogs and the cult and everything that you actually meet along your route. You can also buy and sell items and alchemy things from merchants. You can also get quests from them as well, so you can add on and secondary quests to your gameplay, adding more variety and longer length to the actual game itself. And so graphically, you can definitely tell this was not built for the Switch and has been downscaled for the Switch. There's certainly some detail in this game, but when you actually look at it, it's kind of not alive. It's almost like looking at a still picture of something that should actually be moving, down to the water effects where there just wasn't anything that actually happened with the water, really. It had very little movement, and everything else like puddles and all wouldn't splash when you ran through them, and yes, it all kind of like looked dark, gloomy, pleasantly gothic type look. It certainly had the atmospheric to it, but it just was in a almost static way to it, which was still pretty good to behold, but it kind of like just let itself down a little bit. It definitely shows that the Nintendo Switch is a powerful little tool, but in this case it's just not powerful enough. Sound wise, you have all the atmospherics around you, which is pretty cool. You can hear all matter of things happening around you as you move through the actual areas within the game, which is even bigger a shame of the aforementioned graphical like limitations. Because of this, it just feels a little bit odd and not quite right. Thankfully, they had speech all the way through it. The whole game is practically voiced, and it's voiced pretty well in general, with maybe a little bit of a hiccup here and there, but in general it's actually quite nicely voiced and done, and it really helps you entwine yourself into the story itself.
Still holds value in this city. Even in the deepest crisis, humans find solace in currency. I will buy any equipment you no longer require for honest pay.
The good. It's practically fully voiced. There are quite a few classes, and within this there's lots of actual upgradings that you can do. It does give off a very nice swashbuckling 17th century vibe to it, and I do like the actual combat itself. The bad. The loading times are a little on the long side. The camera angles can be a little bit janky now and again. The pop-in is not great, and the state of the game when you load in to start with isn't great either. The score. I think Black Legend has achieved something that I didn't think would be able to come onto the Switch, and as so has come with a trove of problems that probably couldn't be helped on the Switch due to the power of it, and as so and a result of, I can only give the game a 3 out of 5, which is a massive shame. I would buy this game on the Switch if it's the only option you have, and you will probably enjoy it. It has plenty here to enjoy. Unfortunately, if you can get it on any other console like the PS4 or anything, I would probably definitely go there first. And so onto my alternative, and that's going to be Demon's Rise: Laws of Chaos. a slightly different setting, but also a tactical grid-based battler. That's definitely worth checking out and is definitely quite good fun. So any comments, please leave them down in the comments, because I read them all and answer them all as well, and it's much appreciated. Also, click that link and go to our Discord, where we can continue the chatteroony, or even join us on our many streams that we have during the week with the community and myself. And once again, if you've enjoyed any of this content, well, you know what to do, because life is better when we switch together.